tested the Mazda CX-5 quite a few times now, and we all know that it's a very pleasant and nice car to have. And I wanted to say something about it, but I think the message will be better conveyed by Tina over here.
You know, I was raised with the idea that cars and dogs must be labeled with "Made in Germany." But then I got Mazda's wheel first time in my hands, and it felt something like, you know, when your child brings you home a small puppy and it's all fluffy and stuff and you don't want it, but it slowly starts crawling under your skin.
And the Mazda CX-5 was really like a puppy ever since I first tested the second generation. And even though this model is really from 2017, I'm still not bored of these shapes. For example, I still go wow when I see the LED brake lights. Or when I open the boot and see it's also quite practical. And of course, I'm a sucker for light leather, even though it's so easy to get dirty. The interior deserves just as much praise. It hasn't gotten any more boring since 2 years ago. Still luxurious. I've noticed something rather peculiar. I've had this car quite a few times, and it seems like I never noticed that it actually has an electronic boot, which is very nice. And also the space in the back is very nice, but this is a bit of a problem. If you're not very short, then yeah, this can be a bit painful if you're not paying attention. And yeah. Ow! It doesn't seem to stop, it wants to kill you! And because this is an SUV, I absolutely have to drive it over muddy, snowy gravel. Because obviously most of the owners will do this, especially with 19-inch alloys. Okay, maybe not. But it's nice to know that even though this Mazda does have big alloys, there's still enough rubber on it to prevent you damaging them on the first rock. There's really two types of people that buy SUVs. One part is pretty much the majority of those buyers, which is people that buy an SUV because they want to sit higher up, they want a bigger car, and they want to feel like they can go off-road even though they never will. They'll take their kids to school, they'll go to the shops, and they'll drive through cities. And for those people, all-wheel drive really isn't necessary, I would say, because you might, well, depending on where you live, if you live over here, you might need it 1 week per year if it's really snowing and the roads are not plowed. But that tiny second part of buyers that get SUVs want to have a little bit more of, let's say, off-roading ability, even though, you know, these are not really proper off-roaders, but they give you a bit more ability to do stuff like this. For example, I'm on this forest gravel road that's also icy and snowy, and this car really has no problems. Yes, you would probably be able to get up here in your slammed Honda, but you wouldn't be able to get back down safely, probably. Anyway, it's nice to have all-wheel drive for these purposes. Now, even though this car is fairly capable of driving along surfaces like this, there's one thing I'm missing, and it's not a, like a proper reduction gearbox and stuff like that, like the Suzuki Vitara, which of course is a proper off-roader because it's narrow, small, light, and like I said, has a reduction gearbox. But you know, for these purposes, this car is fine. But what I really miss is a hill descent control. And you might say, I'm not really going to need that. I'm not going to do serious off-roading. I just want to, you know, go on a road like this every now and then. But my colleague who has the Volkswagen Passat with 4Motion, so the all-wheel drive system, he once went up a really icy, snowy road. And he said, oh, it went brilliantly. It was really fun. But going down, that was a bit more of a problem because he doesn't have hill descent control, which means that as he braked, the car started sliding sideways. And that was a little bit scary. So this is what I would like to see in the Mazda CX-5 all-wheel drive, the hill descent control, because it just might save you quite a bit of money because you would go in a straight line instead of down there over the cliff. There's also one more feature that this car has that is not an optional extra. It comes standard with the car, and you don't have to pay a single cent for it. And that feature is called envy. Or awe, really. Probably a mix of both. When you drive this car around, people are going to notice. They're going to watch. When you park it, they're probably going to come up to the car and take a good look at it. It is, I have to say, despite not being a huge fan of SUVs, an exceedingly pretty car, especially from the front. So Mazda really did a very, very thorough and good job there. Where people will not be so envious is the rear view camera, which, well, let me put it nicely, is pretty horrendous. The 3D thing, well, the top-down view is not that useful, to be completely honest, because it's at such weird angles. And the rear view camera, well, for the most part, usually it will be completely dirty, so unusable. And if it's not dirty, it's such low resolution that it's just not very good at all. No. So Mazda, do this. New infotainment screen, please, and software and graphics and a better camera.
The CX-5 with all-wheel drive is still lots of fun on the snow. I drove it over some icy forest roads and it was happy to corner and bring a smile to my face. The base model can be yours for 24,000 euros, while the top-of-the-line one with the most powerful diesel engine, automatic transmission and all-wheel drive costs just over 40,000 euros.